Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And of course, the Summer Game Fest just ended, where we got 2 long hours of video game announcements, and I do mean long hours. This was yet another Geoff Keighley showcase, and as much as I hoped he would improve this year, it really was just another one of his typical events where it's overly bloated and leaves a lot to be desired. Now, even though I personally think the showcase was not all that strong per se, with that said, there were still a few interesting announcements made here, so we'll go over all of the best highlights today. Then also Xbox, they had a very busy morning as they announced some pretty massive news for some of their upcoming plans with new releases, Xbox Game Pass, and they discussed the Activision Blizzard acquisition. So we really do have a lot to go over today, and with that, let's just go and get right into it, starting off with God of War Ragnarok. Now, unfortunately, God of War Ragnarok was not at the Summer Game Fest today, as some fans were hoping, but we did actually get some conflicting reports beforehand. Do keep in mind that none of this is confirmed just yet, but on one side, Game Reactor, they did post a report that they had heard from several of their European sources that God of War Ragnarok has been delayed into 2023. Now, this would actually be the second year in a row that Ragnarok has been delayed if this does indeed turn out to be true. But that right there is the thing, because Jason Schreier also decided to chime in by saying, "It's hard to definitely prove a negative, but someone who would know firsthand just told me they haven't heard anything about a slip to 2023, as did someone else who might know secondhand." So Jason is kind of saying the exact opposite here, though at the same time he does kind of note that it's hard to definitely prove a negative, which to me means that he's not 100% certain. So this kind of brings us back to the persistent question of when God of War Ragnarok will release. Will it actually release in 2022? And now that the Summer Game Fest and the PlayStation State of Play for June has passed, we might be waiting a while before we get that official answer. They could announce a release date with a blog post or something like that. We have seen Sony do things like that in the past, but because this is just such an important release for them, I imagine what they'll probably do is just wait until their next big showcase, which is rumored for September. What I will say, though, is that Ragnarok releasing in September, that seems unlikely now because they did reveal another game today. I am still currently predicting a 2022 release for Ragnarok, but even then, September, that definitely seems unlikely as of this moment. And actually, let's just go ahead and talk about the reason as to why. This is something that we talked about yesterday because the snitch leaked it out on Twitter, and then ironically, well, Sony themselves, they leaked it again this morning before the Summer Game Fest, and that is The Last of Us Remake. It is now finally official, and it is set for a September 2nd release exclusively for the PlayStation 5, with a PC release quote-unquote soon after. Now, how soon? That remains to be seen, but this is highly interesting. It's not a day one PC release as we assumed yesterday, but Sony's simply coming right out of the gate with one of their big new first-party games and saying, hey, this will come over to PC with a staggered release is a big change for them. I mean, sure, we can kind of say that this is simply just a remake and everything, and that it makes sense to release it on PC as soon as possible, but technically, so was Demon's Souls. That was also a remake, and that's yet to release on PC to this day. So, yeah, this is a bit of a change for PlayStation here. They really are absolutely committing more and more to PC, and it looks like that's only going to ramp up more throughout this generation. As for The Last of Us Part 1, though, it is a pretty substantial upgrade compared to the original. I don't think that that's necessarily immediately noticeable to everybody, but once they showed the side-by-side pictures, it really was a night and day difference. You kind of forget how games look back on the PlayStation 3, but we have taken a big step up here, and we are seeing that with The Last of Us Remake. They're also reworking the combat and animations, and it just sounds like it's going to be more on par with its sequel in terms of combat, which really is just absolutely top of its class. I mean, the animations in Last of Us Part 2 is just wow. So if they can incorporate that into the first game, then I think a lot of people might consider jumping back into the beloved Last of Us once again when it releases on September 2nd. Now, Naughty Dog in general, though, they did have a big presence here at the Summer Game Fest. Not only did they reveal the remake officially, but they also talked about their upcoming multiplayer game as well. Unfortunately, no trailer or gameplay or anything like that was revealed, just a simple concept art, but they did say that it has a story, which is interesting, and it's a very big game, possibly even bigger than some of their single-player games, and that they'll be talking about this game more next year in 2023. So we are going to have to wait a little longer before we actually see this game ourselves, but on top of all that, they also have yet another secret project in development directed by Neil Druckmann. So yeah, at the very least, Naughty Dog is more than just a little busy. Let's go and continue on with some other Summer Game Fest highlights here, though. There were a lot of game trailers here, around 40 games in fact, but there were a few specific winners here. The Last of Us and Naughty Dog fans, obviously, they have to be glowing right now, but then Xbox Game Pass had a few interesting reveals here, and then also horror games right now are just absolutely killing it. They did show an extended trailer of the Callisto Protocol, and that game continues to look absolutely amazing, and, well, that game really is just Dead Space. It's so clear that the creators of Dead Space are making this game because even the gun and animations are kind of similar here. It is just such a brutal game, though, and the gun did have a cool gravity type of mechanic, but just wow. This game has quickly moved into my most anticipated game list, and I'm really excited to play the Callisto Protocol later this year. But beyond that, there was also Fort Solis, which ironically is also inspired by Dead Space. I guess everybody just kind of decided that 2022 and 2023 marks the return for Dead Space games, including the remake for that matter. But yes, Fort Solis looks like an interesting space horror game, and it does star a talented cast including Troy Baker, Roger Clark, and Julia Brown. Now, we still need to see more on this game, but the small glimpse that we have seen, I think that it looks interesting, and it might be worth keeping an eye on. Now, Layers of Fear is developed by Bloober Team, that was also revealed here. It looks pretty spooky to say the least, and it's looking to release in early 2023, so this one's not all that far out. And then last but not least here, Routine, yet another horror game, was announced. And this was actually one of the most intriguing reveals at this entire event. Only a small glimpse of gameplay was shown here, but it was very impressive looking. It has striking visuals and atmosphere, which is exactly what you want to see in a horror game like this. And it just ended with a monstrosity of a robot-like character. I absolutely love the design of this game, or at least, again, what we've seen so far. Its mechanics kind of reminded me a little bit of Outlast in how the camera works in that game, but Routine is a first-person sci-fi horror set on an abandoned lunar base designed around an 80s vision of the future. On top of that, Mick Gordon, which has worked on games like Killer Instinct and Doom, is composing some music in this game as well. So Routine really was one of the big standouts at this showcase, and this is actually an Xbox console exclusive that will release directly into Xbox Game Pass day one. Yeah, that's right, this is a day one Xbox Game Pass title, and actually about that, Game Pass did have a few other announcements here at the Summer Game Fest. Warhammer 4K Darktide, that got a new trailer, and it will be releasing directly into Game Pass on September 13th. I know there's a lot of Warhammer fans out there, and Darktide, it does look like a pretty good game so far, so this is a big release for Game Pass coming again on September 13th. They also revealed Midnight Fight Express, which is another day one Game Pass title. This is more of an arcade shooter beat-em-up style of game. If this is something that you're interested in, you might want to keep an eye on that one. And then the big one here is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge will be yet another day one Game Pass title. But even better, this game is actually releasing later this month on June 16th, just 1 week away. So Game Pass just got a lot better for the month of June, as Shredder's Revenge is not just a highly anticipated title, but it also just looks flat out superb. I mean, every time we've seen this game, it just looks like it's so much fun, just a blast from the past if you have played some of those old beat-em-up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. The art style is beautiful with its vibrant colors, the combat looks fun with a host of characters, including Casey Jones, which they just revealed today, and they also revealed that it has 6-player cooperative gameplay. That was a little unexpected, as you don't typically go beyond 4-player co-op, but here you do have 6-player co-op. So yeah, Game Pass, they had a pretty good day here, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit as well. Now, we did also get an update on a rumor that we talked about just yesterday, though it didn't really go in the direction that we were expecting. and that is the reveal for Neon White. In case you missed it, a content creator leaked this game out on Reddit, and with its embargo going up on June 15th and having a shadow drop release, the belief was that a Nintendo Direct would be on the same day, being June 15th. Well, it was actually revealed here at the Summer Game Fest instead, and will release on June 16th. So this does mean that that leak was accurate to a degree. It was just maybe we assumed the wrong things. And that, unfortunately, we're kind of back to guessing when and if a Nintendo Direct will take place. They, unfortunately, still have not actually confirmed one for the month of June, though I'm crossing my fingers that that will be rather soon. Now, there's still a possibility that it will be on June 15th, and that same content creator did say that they signed other NDAs that did indicate a June 15th Nintendo Direct, so I mean, who knows? What we do know for the moment, though, is that Neon White was actually revealed here at the Summer Game Fest instead of what we originally assumed being Nintendo Direct. Now, speaking of rumors, Hideo Kojima's widely rumored game was not at the Summer Game Fest, so if he indeed is revealing a game this week, as many people do expect, that would only leave the Xbox Bethesda showcase. So maybe that might be something to watch out for. Still no guarantee, but Xbox is rumored to be working with Kojima, so this might be something to watch out for if he indeed has something to announce this week. Other than that, though, let's just kind of go down the list of games that were announced here alongside release windows if they announced any at all. So going down the list, they did reveal a new Street Fighter 6 character being Keighley. There was Aliens Dark Ascent that is being planned for 2023. The Callisto Protocol got extended gameplay. Modern Warfare 2 got a gameplay demo. Flashback 2 that's planned for winter of 2022. Witchfire that's getting early access soon on Epic Games. For Solus, we talked about that one. Then Routine, that's an Xbox console exclusive and an Xbox Game Pass Day 1 title. Outriders World Slayer is planned for June 30th. Fall Guys got a new trailer. Stormgate will be getting a beta in 2023. Highwater is being planned for 2022. American Arcadia was announced. Goat Simulator 3, that's planned for fall of 2022. Midnight Suns, this is actually a leak that we talked about in a previous video. That has now been confirmed for October 7th. Cuphead and the Delicious Last Course, that got a new gameplay trailer and has been planned for June 30th. Neon White, that's June 16th. Midnight Fight Express, that's launching into Xbox Game Pass on August 23rd. Warframe's going to get a new expansion sometime here soon. We saw Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's being planned for June 16th. Again, that's going to be releasing into Game Pass. Super People will be getting its final beta on August 17th. Humankind will be heading over to console sometime here soon, and in fact, that's actually coming to Game Pass as well, day one. One Piece Odyssey got a new trailer and is being planned for 2022. Soul Hackers 2, we saw its English voice cast for the first time and will be releasing on August 26th. Samsung Gaming Hub was revealed here. Capcom Arcade Stadium 2 got revealed here and will be releasing on July 22nd. There's now a demo available for Metal Hellslinger. The Quarry got a launch trailer, and that one's actually releasing tomorrow on June 10th. Nightingale got a new trailer here. Saints Row Boss Factory, you can actually download that one right now. Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, that's another Game Pass release, releasing on September 13th. Layers of Fear, that's releasing early 2023. Gotham Knights got a new trailer here, that's releasing October 25th. And then, of course, The Last of Us Part 1 releasing on September 2nd. So that was the entire showcase, and while I don't think that it was a particularly strong showcase per se, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of the Summer Game Fest for 2022? Now also, Xbox had a very busy morning with some huge news. They did make several announcements before the Summer Game Fest even started, where they kind of talked about some of their upcoming plans for Xbox Game Pass, Activision Blizzard, some of their imminent upcoming releases, and even more than that. They did drop a lot of information here, but right away, let's kind of talk about their first-party games. They did reveal that they are planning to release at least 5 games during their fiscal year. So that means over the next 12 months, we should see at least 5 first-party Xbox Bethesda games. We could see more than that based off of what they're saying, so don't rule that out, but at least one of these games will be Starfield. That is planned to release in the first half of 2023, and they did note that right now they're putting the final touches on Starfield. So by all means, expect that to be one of their first-party releases. Redfall, that's also another possibility here. And then Forza Motorsports 8, that has been widely rumored to be a 2022 release, but still not confirmed. With that said, it does kind of sound like that they have at least a couple of surprises planned, and that's where that Xbox Bethesda showcase might come in. Maybe they might have a few surprises for us there. They did also talk about Xbox Game Pass, as it's grown 300% over the last year, which is just absolutely insane. But they're also looking to improve Game Pass even further in a multitude of ways. The first of which, and this is something that we talked about yesterday, and that is that they will be adding demos for Game Pass subscribers. Now, this is actually a nice little perk to have. This is something that PlayStation Plus is doing as well, and you can kind of already see that that competition is definitely pushing each other forward. But what Xbox is doing here will allow developers to opt into this program, where if they don't want to put their entire game into Game Pass, well, instead they could at least offer a demo. So it'll be interesting to see how many developers opt into this program, but because developers will reportedly be compensated, this really seems like a win-win for both consumers as well as developers. This is exactly what you want to see. On top of that, Xbox revealed that some purchases outside of Game Pass will be playable through cloud game streaming. Now, this is actually a major step for cloud game streaming because it's no longer limited to just Game Pass games. And this could allow Xbox to really expand their user base as they continue to try to branch out with cloud gaming. In fact, they do continue to boast on just how well Fortnite has done on Xbox cloud game streaming. So there's obviously a big crowd that is willing to play these cloud-based games, and that should only grow even more with them adding non-Game Pass games as well. That's another way that they're expanding though, because an Xbox app is heading over to smart Samsung TVs. This is something else that they talked about today, and while yes, I would like to see other TV manufacturers take a similar initiative to this, but still this means that if somebody buys a smart Samsung TV, they're low-key getting immediate access to Xbox and a large portion of their games through things like Xbox Game Pass. I mean, as soon as somebody turns on their TV, Xbox it'll just be there. This could be a very fruitful relationship for Xbox, especially if it works well. Xbox Cloud Gaming will also be releasing into new territories, being New Zealand and Argentina. So if you're located in either one of those regions, you'll be able to check out xCloud pretty soon. Design Labs, that's also coming to new regions, and it's adding several new color variants to customize your own Xbox controller. One of the more interesting things that they talked about, though, is in regards to Activision Blizzard. You know, everybody kind of wants to know what's the deal with this acquisition and whether or not their games will be exclusive in the future or not. And well, they did talk about this today with some clarity. I will say the first part of this answer can kind of be left up to interpretation, as Matt Booty did say, if we acquire a game that comes with a big community across a number of platforms, the last thing we want to do is take something away. If anything, we feel that it's our job to be caretakers, to be shepherds, to continue to build and nurture that community, not to cut it up into pieces and try to take some of it away. So this statement is a little vague. There's still not necessarily a 100% clear-cut answer on what exact games they're talking about. It kind of depends on how you interpret the statement. But one thing that they did want to make clear is that some new Activision Blizzard titles will be Xbox console exclusives. So there you have it. I think that if anything, absolutely expect new IP to be exclusive to Xbox. As for games like Crash Bandicoot 5, Spyro 4, future Diablo games, etc., that all still kind of remains to be seen. And I don't think that we're necessarily going to get that clear-cut answer until the acquisition is complete. But I'd still love to hear y'all's predictions below on what you all think will happen. What is very evident, however, is that Game Pass, that continues to be the big winner here, as they did state that they want to bring as many Activision Blizzard games to Game Pass as they possibly can. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all if you were interested in purchasing PlayStation VR 2 based on what Sony has revealed so far. Of course, that was a big part of their state of play earlier this month, so I was curious on your all's takeaway, and it does appear that they have a bit of an uphill battle here, with only 13% of you saying yes, while 67% of you said no, and 16% of you all are still undecided and need more information. Obviously, price, that will be a big factor in a lot of people's decision here, but I don't actually think the results here are overly surprising. While I like virtual reality myself, VR still remains to be a very niche product. Now, we've seen a couple of devices have some success, such as the Oculus Quest 2, that has had some success as a standalone device. PlayStation VR last generation, it did have some success as well, but they need to kind of continue on that path this generation, and that's something that we will have to see. I think that really they just need to kind of continue to showcase some interesting hardcore games for it and get the price right. That, of course, will be very important, and that will go a long way for them in growing virtual reality. I think at least in terms of games, though, we still don't know most of what they have planned, but so far they have shown some pretty interesting games. Resident Evil 4 Remake as well as Resident Evil Village coming over to PlayStation VR 2 is absolutely fantastic to see, and then Horizon Call of the Mountain. That game really looks like it has some potential on being one of the better VR games in general. So I guess we'll just kind of have to see how all of this plays out. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.